VersTEAv209.
Hello, hashtag VersTEAv family, and welcome. It's week 209. I'm Aaron Mack. I'm here with my good friend Kevin, aka CVC Basic Complexity. Share, subscribe, and share again. Thank you very much. Yes, and Kevin will take it away with a significance of the number 9. Basic Complexity.
First off, hey everybody. Um, the thing about the number 9, it regarding the number 9, and I just think back, way back to when I was 9. Basically, thinking that I was about to hit double digits and be grown. That was 9-year-old me, stress. And yeah, turning 10, that was nothing special. But yeah, it was just, that was the one thing that really stood out to me, being 9 years old, being that I was about to be double digits, like forget the single digits, I was 7 up.
Nice, nice. It's kind of like that, right? Yes, it is. I agree. You know, for my 10th birthday, we had invited the class to actually, I'll save that for next week because what made me think of 10 is you were mentioning it's before you turn 10. So I was going to talk about 10, but I'm like, no, I should talk about that next week. Anyway, did you have anything else on 9?
That was it.
My new song choice is none other than 2014's song by J-Lo called First Love from her AKA album. Now, I'll say, first of all, it was a cool title for an album. I was like, is Jennifer Lopez AKA? I don't know. I don't know. But as far as the song First Love, it is a sweet concept about not wasting time with the wrong people along the way. I wish you were my first love, because if you were my first, maybe there would have been no second, third, or fourth love. And it's a really cool concept, but I kind of think that those past struggles in relationships building up to your finding that one or two or whatever, I'm open-minded, we're open-minded here at hashtag VersTEAv. Whatever floats your boat and doesn't hurt or harm anybody else, right? So
Yep.
on your way to your destination relationship, I'll call it that, your destination relationship, I feel that the rocky parts of the road leading up to that sort of helped prepare you for it. Because I think of myself, like if I found the man for me when I was 19, when I first started being like, I want a relationship. And that's a long story I'm not going to go into. But if I had found him at that point, I would have effed it up. And that just would have been what? The end of it? No, because I wasn't ready. And I remember my former mental health counselor told me, he's like, two broken people can't fix each other. Because I told him that I felt that, well, if I'm a broken person, I can find another broken person and we can fix each other. And he's like, that's not how it works. Anyway, Basic Complexity, your relatively older song.
Yeah, definitely relatively older.
And
Um,
actually, I really wanted to quickly ask you your
uh,
perspective on that whole first love concept. Do you feel that if you found your first love a long time ago, you would have been like,
and it's funny because I think back to my very first boyfriend, and even to this day, we are still cool. But back then, we both were younger workaholics, and yet that just wasn't gonna work. We
yeah.
were all about making that money.
And maybe the song is about just magically, if you find that person, even though you're not really ready, you all just make it work. I don't know. I don't know because I'm learning things. I'm learning things about marriages and how people make things work. It's not like it just magically up and happens. You have to put in work. So
Yeah,
I question, maybe if I found that right one and we both encouraged each other to just make it work, maybe we would have. I don't know. Base complexity, do you have anything else to say on it, or do you want to go to your oldish song?
I'll do that in a minute. But actually, in regards to relationships and finding, I guess, that one, I definitely, for inspiration, I definitely look to my grandparents. They never separated or got divorced. Now, do they always get along? No. And it's actually kind of funny sometimes, but you just learn to work with what you got.
And
And
work with
that,
who's sincerely with you.
right, right. Mm.
Oldish song, shall
All
we?
right, all right. My old dish song, and just to me, it's not that old, but all right, it's ten over 10 years old. Actually, it's probably over 15 now. But my old dish song is actually from, for those of you that remember, the Pussycat Dolls. And they had a song from their debut album called Stick With You, which, yes, I adored that song. Now with that song, it was from their 2005 album, debut album, and the song was more or less remixed or whatever, however you want to word it, was changed around by the singer Avant, and it was put on this 2008 album called I'm trying to oh his 2008 album called Director, and it was his version of Stick With You. So it was kind of like a remix. So it was Pussycat Dolls featuring Avant. Now I love both versions, his version and the original. I think they're great, and that's what I have.
I love I did one. I'm Team Nicole Scherzinger all the way. I think she is
Oh,
an exceptional vocalist who is. People throw around the term underrated a lot, but she she came along at that time that the music industry, honestly, was sort of switching from anyway, all of that to say, all of that, nothing to say that I feel that she was sort of slept on. And perhaps maybe it was her material. I don't know. But she is exceptional, an exceptional vocalist. And as far as that debut album, I love the song Stick With You. I might
yeah.
listen to it after our show now because I didn't know you were going to name that. Mhm. But I also I remember their song Buttons, which I didn't I Buttons was a kind of take it or leave it song for me. But I remember I went to a gay club in Philadelphia with a friend of mine or to see a friend of mine. And I remember a woman in the club, not a trans woman, but well, I have no idea what was going on down there. But in the club, she actually danced with me to the song Buttons. And I was like, okay, this is interesting. Cool. You know? Anyway, did you have anything else to say on Buttons, my friend? Or are we ready for me to name the song, name the titles?
Really quick because you mentioned Buttons from their debut album also, and I have to say the one song from their debut album that probably always stuck out to me was the song Beep
The song what?
Beep.
Oh, wasn't that Will I Am single?
Yeah, I believe so.
Okay. You know what else I remember about the Pussycat Dolls debut album? I'm such a little, I was such a young, gay, young man at that time. But remember how on the album cover, they were all like standing chest to chest? Well, not chest to chest, but like all, uh, and they were all wearing a midriff and they all of their waists were like this wide and
Yes.
they were yes, yes. And I remember I used to always think about like being like I would hold in my chest. Now at that time I actually went back and forth between having a six pack and kind of almost. Nowadays I have a sack currently. Anyway, but I had a six pack back then. But I used to love pretending to pretending to be one of the Pussycat Dolls and stand with my waist like this. Yeah. Anyway, I'm ridiculous. But yeah, that's what I used to think of the Pussycat Dolls. I'd be like, oh, I'm just like the Pussycat. Anyway, oh my gosh, let me stop. Anyway, showtime, shall we?
Okay.
Hashtag hashtag his drive. Hashtag majority rules. Hashtag standards double. Hashtag thought power. Hashtag live one timeless. And the live one timeless is when we get into some very cool, interesting things, but it's only live for one time. It does not go on the rest. But everything is cool. So stick with us and enjoy, right? Basic complexity.
Yeah.
Hashtag HisDrive at LA Times, hashtag VersTEAv209 Los Angeles Times article, Would you date a bus driver? Debate royal social media, and Ebony K. Williams fires back by Nardine Saad, staff writer, May 4th, 2023. Motivational spirit and talk show host Iyanla Van Zant is telling women to recalibrate their standards for men after she recently asked a Real Housewife whether she would go out with a bus driver. In a viral clip, Van Zant last week asked the Griot host Ebony K. Williams, the first black cast member of Bravo's Real Housewives of New York City franchise, if she would date a bus driver, after Williams shared that she felt it necessary to exude, quote, masculine energy, end quote. Quote, if he owns the bus, if he owns it, if he owns the bus, Iyanla, end quote, Williams replied after a moment of hesitation. Van Zant, who was discussing modern women and femininity with the lawyer turned reality star, immediately stopped Williams and said that therein lay the problem, which catalyzed a backlash to Williams' remarks and the debate in general.
Okay. All right. So after hearing this, in my honest personal opinion, regardless of what she claims, on the extreme basic level, it does come down to money, basically. She could claim doesn't, but in all honesty, it does. That's what I have.
I think women are put in an interesting, difficult position in terms of society's expectations for their man, right? And
Yeah.
telling them what they should expect. Anyway, my initial reaction and my connection when I first saw this, I was like, absolutely, I wouldn't have a problem dating a bus driver if he owned the bus, if he drove the bus, period. And I don't mind dating people on any level. I always say my main concern, and this is me as a homosexual man, my main concern is that my partner is able to support himself.
Mm.
And, you know, outside of that, though, I don't care, make your bills satisfied, whatever. Now, my deeper dig on this topic, I I even watched the full interview that Ebony K. Williams did on the Griot when she was actually interviewing Iyanla Van Zant on her show. Yes. And on that, she explained that it was revealed that she is a fellow 1983 baby. And initially, I was kind of going to go in on the fact that she is the first black cast member on Real Housewives of New York City, the first. And it's like, okay, but I I fell in like with her watching that interview. Like I think she's really cool. She was very responsive to what Iyanla Van Zandt had to say in the interview. And she like really came across like as a woman who's approaching 40 because she's a fellow 83 baby, as a woman who's approaching 40 and trying to make things happen with a man. And I'm like, yes, sister, I know that's right. Me too. Okay, yes. So I'm all team her, and yeah. Also, I asked, which is something one of the commenters asked, They're like, why would she ask her that question though? Because she's a lawyer. Ebony K. Williams is a lawyer. So how many bus drivers really get into such social circles? And it's not an issue of I'm better than you, but how many get into those social circles outside of driving the bus, you know? And with online dating, there's a lot of crisscross with people, and perhaps be open to that possibility. But basic complexity, you're one and one.
And basically just that for people in general, you are more than entitled to live your life however you see fit. And that's what I've.
Oh, right. And another reason that I have a particular love for the Griot host, Ebony K. Williams, is I really appreciate the fact that in that interview that she conducted with Iyanla Vanzant, because initially I was like, oh, did she go on Iyanla Vanzant's show? But no, Iyanla Vanzant was on the Griot, and she is a host on a show on the Griot. And they acknowledged that the masculine energy or feminine energy is not tied to a genitalia. I was like, yes, y'all better talk about it. Yes, because you can have masculine energy or feminine energy, and it doesn't matter what you've got down there, you know? Like, I think of myself as the I always say the more, actually I don't even need to say that. I think that people are attracted to people who are around them, and I acknowledge that my attractions adjusted as I spent the first part of my childhood in upstate New York. Then we moved to New Orleans, Louisiana. Then I went to college in the mid-Atlantic. Then I moved up to Baltimore for my first job. So it's like, yeah, that makes a difference. Now, my summation, if you will, is, and as for those places, I had different attractions based on all of those locations for the most part. I say share love with whomever you share love. Ignore pointless hate. They won't be there to hold and console you in your time of trouble. Acknowledge your standards. However, acknowledge your standards might keep you single for a while, indefinitely, possibly, but don't want it's fine to not want to end up with the wrong one, you know? And also don't accept abuse. I always have to specify that. Don't accept abuse from somebody. That's never good. But yeah, your standards might take you on a long road to finding. Anyway, oh my gosh. Basic complexity. Are you ready for the next topic?
Yes.
All right. Here it is.
Hashtag MajorityRules at Vegan Community. Hashtag VersTEAv209
Think about it, what were we taught as children? We were taught that people from China, Vietnam, or other countries who kill and eat cats and dogs are bad people. But us choosing to eat chicken is apparently our personal choice. We were told that the Japanese who go on hunting expeditions to kill whales and dolphins are horrible people, but us choosing to eat mutton is the circle of life. We were taught and told to be sad and upset if we ever read in the news that a hunter had killed an elephant and stolen her tusks. But the same society also taught us that it's apparently our right to forcefully make a female cow pregnant, kill her child, and steal and drink that child's milk. If there's anything you can take away from this lecture today, please remember the following two statements I'm about to say. Number one, a lie doesn't become the truth, wrong does not become right, and evil does not become justice just because those actions are done by the majority of people. And point number two, it is your responsibility to create a more ethical society than the one you were born into.
Okay, so my initial reaction and connection are connected. I felt wow when I saw this video. I was like, ooh, let me get it. Okay. I thought, wow, because I used to wonder about the same thing. How it's like some animals must be worth more than other animals, because it's like we talk about people, and I used to think that they were just making this stuff up to be like mean, talking about eating dog and stuff. But I remember I would hear that and I'd be like, but why is it that the dog's life matters more than the cat? You know? And it's because dogs are a man's best friend, I guess, dogs and cats. But it kind of comes down to like the death penalty, and that murder, uh, who gets the death penalty is not based on the race of the person who did the murder. That's pretty equal all around, black, white, Asian, etc. The murderer has an equal chance of getting a death penalty based on the color of their skin. But the discrepancy comes in who gets killed. That's where you get, so I don't even need to go into that. But all of that is saying that there are different values to different lives, and each country, the majority, establishes its value that they place on lives, right? And he's probably in India, and I don't even remember why I said that. He's probably in India. But oh, well, just like that's his country. And talking about mutton, mutton is lamb. And I know for myself, lamb is another one of those things that I was like, I thought lambs were just for wool. And the irony, though, is the fact that I have in my life had bacon before, and there are some people who feel that bacon is a disgusting, horrible thing to eat. And I don't eat bacon anymore, but I have had it before. That was on my list of things. And at the end of the day, it all comes down to what sage George Carlin said. And I love me some George Carlin. He's so on point with everything. He said that people need to learn how to think critically. Think for yourself. Don't just go with the majority, and that's why majority rules. Don't just go with the majority. Don't just be like, oh well, society says that eating cats is bad, so I'm going to believe eating cats is bad, even though some other people eat cats. Or society says eating cows are okay. I'm going to think for yourself. Think critically. That's more important. Thank you, George Carlin. Base complexity.
Okay. Once I heard, once I heard this, the teacher actually makes some very, very valid points. In the U.S., we are definitely not holier than thou. Trust and believe we have our own share of dirty laundry, just like every other country on the face of the planet. And that's what I have.
Wasn't that the title of that Kelly Rowland album, Dirty Laundry?
Yeah, it was a single, not the album.
Oh, what was the title? Well, okay, it doesn't matter. But I will say that my one sentence, actually, I'll go right into it. I think, I think that I think that if everyone thought critically and asked more questions, that the
Mm-hmm.
world would be a better place. I think. I don't know for sure because I acknowledge if everybody thinks critically, maybe there'd be other problems possibly. I don't know. But I'd like to think that if everyone in the world actually thought critically and asked more questions instead of making assumptions, the world would be a better place. That's just what I think. Basic complexity.
All right. So what I have is that, like, really getting down to the basics of it, no one at all on the face of this planet is 100% innocent. We are all guilty of something. It's even if it's something minor, which a lot of times it is. But yeah, we are not 100% innocent. Oh yeah, like I said, we're not 100% innocent, regardless of how minor it may seem. That's what I've.
You know, when you said the word guilty, you reminded me of. I know Seven Streeter and a few other people have a song called "Guilty," but my mind immediately went to, and we have nothing to be guilty of. Our love will climb any mountain. That was Barbara Streisand. Yes, I'm gay. I'm sorry. Barbara Streisand and Andy Gibb of the Bee Gees. Anyway, so are you ready for our next one?
Yes.
And here we go.
Hashtag StandardsDouble at Mr. Chaz. Hashtag VersTEAv209
I'm gonna spank you because you're disrespecting me.
Oh, so it's okay to hit?
You're making me do this because you made me feel disrespected.
So if I feel disrespected, then it's okay to hit.
No, I'm spanking you so you learn to respect me.
Oh, so hitting is how I get people to respect me.
No, I'm only hitting you because I'm the parent.
Oh, it's only okay to hit people who are smaller and have less power than you. I remember that during school. There's this new kid that...
No, I want to teach you to be kind to others and to solve problems without violence.
Oh, okay. So, show me how to do that.
All right. So,
All right. So yeah, this one is definitely on me. That was a very interesting dynamic um, when discussing physical violence when it comes to your own child. Um, and all right, everybody's different, but it's neither here nor there. Um, I mean, just personally, I do believe in uh in spanking my personal child, my own child, um, and I'm not talking about nothing extreme. However, in very extreme circumstances, I will basically I will tap that is if they are extremely acting up and just definitely making a fool out of everybody. And that's what I've
All right. And I will say my initial reaction was, see, spanking is bad, and this is why. And my initial reaction continues thinking about, yeah, because I wasn't spanked as a child. After about age 8, 9, or 10, like my mom stopped spanking me. I think maybe before, maybe give or take a little. And I remember my best friend from Boy Scouts, we used to talk about the fact that our moms would not spank us, and how instead of spanking us, our moms would give us like very lengthy conversations. And we would joke about the fact that we would joke about feeling like sometimes those long discussions about, well, why did you do that? Well, I mean, I think that I did it because, uh-huh. Well, why because? Well, because sometimes things happen and I don't know. Why don't you know? Well, because, like that kind of like just digging deeply. And I totally get it. I totally love it. I totally love how I was raised. I love my family. I love my mommy. And it's interesting. Nevertheless, though, my deeper connection is seeing this video made me think about the fact that they talk about you shouldn't hit your child once they reach the age of reason. And initially, in my mind, when I first heard that, I said, well, that's because at that point you can talk to them, and just you all come to a meeting of the minds. But it's not just for that purpose, it's also for exactly the purpose represented in that video. Because there is a time and a place to hit a child of a certain age. Because children just know right, wrong, hurt, no hurt, you know? So at a certain age, when they're like toddlers or something like that. They don't know that, hey, I shouldn't run into the street because such and such and such. They just know, okay, if I run into the street, my mom's going to give me some pain. So I don't run into the street. And, but in terms of people, once a kid reaches the age of reason, they might think exactly like the kid in this video. Say, oh, so you're hitting me because you're showing me that violence is a way to solve problems. That's because the child is at the point that they've reached the age of reason and they can think more deeply about things. And kids are smarter than we think. And they have an ability to misunderstand parents' self-motivated actions. Basic complexity, you're one squared.
mm, um sorry well um all right basically that every child period every child is raised differently. um and there, and there may be some valid reasons behind it. That's what I've.
Cool. And my one sentence wrap up is raising a child well is not an easy thing to do. I think that in my limited knowledge, I feel that the most important thing is to make sure that you lead the child with love. I think that's what children feel the most. So make sure that's what you're leading with. Anyway, all right. And are you ready for the next?
Yeah.
Share, subscribe, and share again. Thank you very much. All right. And
Hashtag ThoughtPower at Vintage Icons _ hashtag VersTEAv209
Every time I create a positive thought in my mind, also I create a negative thought. It's just like, I'm going to be very successful. My mind said, oh, no, you're not, you know? Okay? So since I create positive and negative, it's which one I give the most attention that is powerful. When I think positive constantly, it's very powerful and it controls me. If I think negative all the time, it's going to control me too. So right now, my positive thought is there is going to be no disaster to destroy what I have planned for me and my family. And if there is, that's life, you know? And I can accept what I get. My intention is for it to work and to be successful, and I will accept what I get. See, I don't have any choice about what my life is going to be like. The only choice I possibly might have is how I'm going to react to it. You know, and I mentioned to someone the other day that if you've heard that the poem, If, you know, they said something about success and failure. If you treat those two imposters the same, well, that's my plan. You know, I get very emotional all the time. That's my plan. If I'm successful, I want to treat it like I'm successful. And if I'm unsuccessful, I want to treat it the same way. I really do. And that's my plan. I'm getting shook because I feel really emotional about that.
all right. Yes, Queen Diana. So my in my initial reaction is I love it. I love it. And yeah, sometimes negative thoughts just happen. And it's not your fault about the negative thought, but what we need to do, we, myself included, very much, is just make sure to give more attention to the positive. And that way, eventually, the negative will learn that it has no place there, you know? So I'm going to I'm going to give the majority of my attention to, I'm going to give all of my attention to the positive. Some negative might try to slip in, but my attention is going to the positive, period. And my connection is, yeah, I'm going to overpower the positive. Yeah, you know, it's so interesting how the thought thing goes because, and I even noticed this before I used any kind of walking assistive device. But when I would walk past people who make me feel a little awkward in any way and basic complexity, there's a lot of noise going on. But if I would walk past anybody who made me feel uncomfortable in the least, it would impact my walking because those negative thoughts would like get in. And I still notice that. I still notice that happens. Like when I do my evening exercise, walking up and down the hall, I notice that when I get to certain apartments where it's like people will, I know they're the type of people who just ignore me and look me dead in my eyes, and I'll say hi, good morning, and they'll look me dead in my eyes and be like stuff like that would bother me. And for example, this one woman, she was being shown the apartments out here, and as I walked by, I was like, "Hi, thank you." Like the guy, leasing agent, held the door for me, and as I walked by, I was like, "Thank you very much," and excuse me, sorry. The woman immediately asked him. She was like, "Oh, is this a Section 8 apartment?" And I was like, "Ooh." Like, and that was another example of a time that like my walking can be trouble. But thank you, Queen Diana. I just have to give more attention, more focus, more power to the positive thoughts of moving on and not stressing it. Like my dad said years ago, he was like, be nice to people, not because you want them to be nice to you, but be nice to people because you, Aaron, are a nice person. Period. That at the end of the sentence. And sometimes people are uncomfortable when they see me in the walker, whatever, like wondering, well, what evil did he do to end up in a walker at a young age currently? But again, give the attention to the positive thoughts. Basic complexity, your one and, well, actually, no, your whole thing.
All right. So, I have to say that I completely agree with Miss Diana Ross. Because as a kid, I basically had the same mindset. Now, did I have negative thoughts to pop into my mind? At times, yes. But I did learn over the years how to basically temper those thoughts temper those thoughts to pop and I still lost where I was. All right, just start at this point. Yeah, as a kid, yes, but I did learn over the years to temper those negative thoughts and would basically think to myself, like, hold up, pump the brakes. Like, I am not taking that hard left turn and going somewhere completely different. And yeah, that's my opinion.
All right. So yeah, Queen Diana Ross was absolutely right. Negative exists out there, but I give more attention to the positive. I give my attention to the positive thought, period. Okay? And my one sentence, just like Popeye, with confidence. I am who I am because I eat my spinach. I'm Aaron Mack, working my way back to not needing any assistive device. That at the end of the sentence. Basic complexity, you're one and one.
Okay. Okay. Now sometimes, of course, you have to take a moment to completely remove yourself from a situation and give it some serious thought before proceeding. That's what I've.
All right. Now, before we go into the next one, I will disable YouTube or adjust YouTube. Let's say that. And because we don't want the smoke. We don't want any smoke. None. So YouTube, it's nothing but love. I've got nothing but love for you, YouTube. Nothing but love for you. Yeah, whatever. Anyway, okay. So I'm glad that works. That works wonderfully, Doc. So, all right, hashtag VersTEAv209 family. This has been hashtag VersTEAv209 week 209. I'm Aaron Mack. You can message me at aaronmack@versteav.com, AARONMCK @VersTEAv.com, and hashtag VersTEAv is all over social media. Just search hashtag VersTEAv. Now, where can we find you, Basic Complexity, Kevin?
Yes, I could, and there we go. All right. One, I'm on VersTEAv.com. You could also find me on Instagram under the name Basic Complexity. It's BasicComplexity. And also on TikTok, and that's because the name Basic Complexity for some odd reason was already taken. So I went with what I could get. My name on TikTok is My Basic Complexity. And yeah, that's what I have.
You know, it's funny when the my basic complexity, like whoever has basic complexity, they're actually kind of an active user on TikTok. But it is what it is. Oh well, gosh darn it. Anyway, talk to y'all later, social media family. Peace. VersTEAv.com. It's on your side.
Mm. Where? So why?
Yeah, on the same side with the hand that you just had up. The other
Yeah.
hand. Yeah. But yeah, all right, hashtag VersTEAv family. Peace. VersTEAv.com. Stay blessed. We will talk to you later. And
We out.